I am super excited today to have an opportunity to talk to a couple fellow Michiganders, which is why I'm decked out in sports gear and they're dressed like professional people, which I appreciate, even though today is a game day for the Lions and for my Western Michigan Broncos this week. But I am very lucky to have a few minutes to talk with Jerry Fetty, the founder and CEO of Smart IT Services, and also Bryant Caudill, who is the VP of Operations and also a partner. Gentlemen, thank you so much for giving me some of your time so soon after we saw each other at a Big Eye Michigan event.
Hey, you're welcome, Casey. And by the way, I do have my blue and gold on today, and it's hard to see it all. We're ready, and I'll get my hat on later when I'm not so professional.
Sure, I appreciate it. And Brian, same for you. Thank you. You noticed it as soon as we jumped on the call, didn't you?
Mhm.
Hey, I love it. Go Lions.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Cool. Anybody who's watching this or listening to this in the future may not have necessarily heard of or seen Smart IT Services on the convention circuit. Pardon me, on the convention circuit. Could one of you tell me an overview? Like, what is Smart IT Services? How do you help insurance agents?
Sure. So, Smart IT Services is a full service IT firm founded in 1991. We are 100% focused on working in the insurance channel and working primarily with independent agencies. We help with pretty much all aspects of the IT deployment management, support, security, and actually AI consulting and implementation nowadays as well. We're very deep into that. But because of our focus that's so deep into the insurance channel, we really understand agencies and their workflows and how to help them make them more efficient and better and more secure. I go to a lot of conferences where I'll see, and part of me here, Casey, where I see an insurance person stand up and say, "Hey, I'm a former insurance agency, and now I talk IT." And I get up and I say, "I've been an IT guy for over 40 years, and I know a lot about insurance, but I'm here to talk about IT." That's what Smart Services is. We're full service. We like to help people run on the leading edge, but not the bleeding edge. So systems that really work and do what they're supposed to do. And even though I said that, we like to answer the phone and talk to people. We feel like relationships are a big part of what we do, and they're a big part of what agencies do. So even though we're tech guys, we really work hard on keeping great relationships with our customers.
Gotcha. Awesome. And so, what typically drives an agency to seek you out for IT services? What are some of the pain points that you hear from those agencies that are reaching out to you looking for help?
Sure. I would say, fortunately or unfortunately, typically what happens is we get a reach out from an agency when they've had some sort of a problem in the agency, whether it's nowadays it's more like a security breach or something like that. And then they reach out maybe to their local Big Eye or somebody like Catalytic and ask, "Hey, we need help. What do we do?" And we get recommended to come in and help out with the situation. Sometimes we get an agency just looking to make changes in their automation, in their IT service and support. And again, they find us usually through some sort of insurance channel because we've been partners in the insurance industry, makeup or partnership. I don't know what you want to call it, but the whole environment for a really long time. We attend a lot of the shows for states and the user groups and such forth. And we've been out there, so they find us that way. But typically, they have some kind of a problem or a goal they're trying to solve, and they'll reach out and ask us to help them with that.
Yeah, we often hear our current IT guys, they fix computers, but they really don't know our business. We feel like we've just grown stagnant with the system. What else can we do? What are we not doing that other agencies deal with or benefit from? So we bring a lot of that to the table with the vast majority of our customers being agencies.
Yeah, and I'll feed off that, Bryant. A lot of folks like the fact that we speak their language when they're talking about producers or CSRs or remarketing or whatever other type of terms that we know what they're talking about, or their AMS management system. We know about that, and we work with quite a few different management systems over the last 30 years, so we're pretty experienced in helping with most of them.
Sure. The insurances or the acronyms, and I'm sure every type of business and industry has their own acronyms and their own language, but insurance is definitely one that takes some
Mhm.
time to learn. So if you can speak it, I think that's a comfort thing too, right? For the agency
Mhm.
side. If they say BOP and you don't ask, well, what's a BOP, then that's pretty helpful, I would think, at least in terms of making sure that they trust and understand that you get the risks and the challenges that they're experiencing. Yeah. So once you're engaged with an agency, and also you did mention that, of course, I'm going to say unfortunately, people are
Mhm.
often reaching out to you once there's a problem instead of
Mhm. Mhm.
prior to there being a problem. Once the dust has settled and once that issue's been resolved, or maybe if it's an agency that is being proactive, what are some of
Mhm.
the exposures and risks that you're seeing most often that agencies need to be aware of, whether they're working with an IT provider or not, that they should be really putting in the forefront of their mind?
Sure. I'll kick it off, and Bryant's our security expert, so he can take it from there. What I'm seeing a lot of is agencies who actually aren't able, whether they know it or not, to really qualify for cyber liability insurance. And that's an interesting thing. Some agencies, it's getting better and better, but I've walked into a lot of agencies where they don't really have the right security in place to have themselves secured. And Bryant, what's your answer?
Yeah, most agencies can attest that every year they get their cyber renewal application and it just gets bigger and bigger. They've
Mhm.
tripled in size over the past 5 years. And we really focus on helping agencies check all those boxes because most people will fill out the application and think they're good and not really even have an understanding for what it takes to fill all those needs.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, it's interesting. I just made a note there that a lot of agencies, maybe not a lot of agencies, but there are agencies that sell cyber liability. And
Correct.
the question is, A, do they have it? And do they even meet the eligibility requirements to have cyber liability? That's a great point. And I wonder how many agencies fall into that category.
It's pretty complex stuff, and
Sure.
even a lot of carriers are still kind of learning, what they should require or not require and what they cover and not recover. And it's pretty complex. And even IT guys are learning daily because security changes daily, the need. And even with the introduction of AI into all of our worlds, now we're all learning about AI and how it helps us out, but there are a large number of security concerns with AI, and we're going to be learning, all of us together are going to be learning about a lot more. There's a lot more coming down the channel on AI and security.
Yeah, we've
Sure.
had a lot of surprise faces when we ask the question, does your cyber liability and your E&O extend to AI exposures? What happens if the AI test says too much versus an actual person? So it's constantly changing field.
Sure. That's a scary thought, right? If they were using an agentic tool or a generative tool and it was
Mhm.
giving advice or feedback, yeah, that could be very problematic. Have you encountered agencies that have experienced AI-based problems with their IT?
We've encountered agencies who have had AI problems. I don't know if I'd say they're with their IT, but they're obviously IT related. We've seen agencies who have implemented AI tools within themselves and haven't really built a good solid security foundation. And AI is smart and AI is good. And if you don't have your data siloed properly or cleaned properly and the proper security architecture in place, AI will find information for people that maybe it wasn't meant for them to see. And yes, we've seen agencies where they've deployed AI into their agency, and then a producer gets a great idea to ask the AI, hey, what's the principal up to? And the AI is able to go out and read their emails and other documents and give them an answer. Or we've all heard these horror stories too of agencies where people have asked the AI, hey, what is everybody making here? And it can go out and find those documents and give them an answer. So it's really important to have a great security foundation in place when you implement AI throughout the whole agency.
Sure. Okay, that's really interesting. I've experienced a couple, I don't know what the terminology would be. We'll call them accidental exposures or unintended exposures.
I
Not anything that I put out there.
think I'm going to have to use that, Casey.
Yeah, hey, maybe we just
Thank
coined
you.
a new phrase. Let's throw it on a
Mhm.
t-shirt. But yes, I've definitely asked questions or I've been developing
Mhm.
proposals. And I have a little tool that I built to help me just put things in
Mhm.
a specific format. And occasionally, it's happened twice where some information showed up on my proposal that was not ready for prime time from
Mhm.
an external source. And I thought, oh, they probably don't want that floating around the large language model. But yes, for sure. That's very interesting and also probably a little bit concerning for hopefully some people that
Mhm.
listen to this that have not considered it. What kind of implementation strategies do you all use? Or maybe not strategies, but what would an agency experience? That's probably a better example, a better question. If they were to start working with smart IT services, what's your process to help get an agency fully secure and under your program?
Sure. We start out with basically a leadership meeting, learning about the agency, what their tech stack looks like, what their maybe their concerns are, their goals, certainly what their goals as an agency are. And then we go from there. We typically do what we call an automation audit, where we go through the agency and we literally talk to almost everybody in the agency, or at least the key folks anyways. And a lot of key folks are some of the people doing the day-to-day groundwork as well, finding what they're basically discovering what are they doing on a day-to-day basis, what tools are they using, what are they not using, what do they wish they could have, what's not working for them, what they wish could be different, and gathering a lot of information. And typically, what happens is we not only get the answers that usually the leadership is asking for, but we discover other opportunities or other things that they may not realize is actually happening within the agency. A couple good examples, something that we've called, or has been a term for a long time, is called shadow IT. And that's where you get somebody in a company that they don't like the current process or IT, so they bring their own IT in and tools and such forth, and
Yeah.
to solve their problem. But today, really what we see a lot of is, I'll call it shadow AI. We've been in agencies where the leadership tells us, oh, we're not using AI yet in the agency. And then we go out and do our audit, and we find usually quite a few users who are using AI tools and are typically the free tools, and they're putting information in those tools that probably is the information that you've been discovering when you're putting your proposals together, Casey. Stuff that shouldn't be in there. The AI tools are not locked down. They're not keeping the information within the tenancy of the agency, essentially. And so that's surprising. But basically, we'll go through the AI audit, and then we'll actually I use a product called Mind Manager. So, not that anybody really cares about that, but that's a kind of a cool tool that I use to create a mind map of all of our findings and our recommendations. And then we'll take that and put a pretty comprehensive report and presentation together for the agency to show them what's going on and how we can help them solve the problems or get to the goals that they're trying to achieve.
Okay, sure. I love your term. I'm going to borrow it, shadow AI, because I do. It's a talking point. Talking point's the wrong word. It's a point of emphasis for me anytime I'm talking to a new consulting agency or agency that's looking for consulting services. I say, "Do you have a written AI acceptable use policy? Have you defined what you
Mhm.
have made available, what they can use it for, what they cannot be using? Do you have it in writing? Have they signed it? Because if you don't tell them, if you don't communicate and stress how important it is, there's nothing stopping somebody from getting a free Copilot account and dumping a bunch of stuff in there because it helps them get their work done, but not
Mhm.
understanding the potential risk to the agency overall for sure. Okay, very interesting. What kind of advice just in general do you have for agencies, whether they're working with you or not? What should they be looking for or thinking about to understand whether or not they've invested enough time and resources into their security?
That's a great question. I think the number one thing I would recommend to agencies is to make sure that they have a good handle on their data structure within the agency. What data they have, where it's at, how far back does it go? A lot of agencies have a data retention policy. And if they have one, are they following it? And then how is that data secured and who has access to it? So looking at the security structure as well. And that would be looking for most agencies, that's going to be looking in your Active Directory because most agencies are using Office 365 today. And Active Directory has a pretty robust security solution built in, but I think probably most people have never even heard that word unless you're a larger agency and kind of tech savvy.
Okay, gotcha. Awesome. Are there any other questions I should have asked you that you would want to talk about? Because I have one last question, but it's silly.
Sure. Bryant, what would you want to hear what Bryant's advice is to agencies?
Yeah, I think technology and security are really hand in hand now, and it really needs to start at employee onboarding. We
Mm.
work with so many of our clients to make the security training and data handling, AI policies, mobile policies, work from home, part of the agency culture that's discussed right from the onboarding process. Having all of our trainings recorded and just going through step by step. So new hires are right along with how things should be. Because that's what we see most often is 6 months down the road, people saying, "Oh, I didn't know that was a thing. Oh, I didn't know that we needed to do this," or "Oh, that's how we handle it." Having that out there as just part of the agency culture from the beginning is huge.
And feeding off you there, Bryant, you reminded me of a couple of other tips I would give or to agencies, and that is most agencies are using Office 365, but they're not using much of it. And there's a lot of tools in Office 365, so I would encourage agencies to learn a lot more about the I'll call it the pieces and parts inside of that product
Yeah,
that they could use and help them out. Not only help them be more productive and efficient, but just maybe save some money because a lot of them are paying for other tools that do the exact same thing. So they could do
Mhm.
that. And I'd also say when you're thinking about AI, to think about it in a technology viewpoint as well, because AI is technology. It becomes part of your technology infrastructure, and it really needs to be implemented the right way. That's why the current stats are like over 95% of initial AI implementations or plans go awry because they just didn't plan it out rightly and think about security and some of the other IT factors that are involved with it. Think about that stuff ahead of time and make it part of the plan and make that implementation a success. So the AI really does help your agency thrive.
Sure, absolutely. And Brian, your suggestion, I just made a note of that. I talk at length with agencies about standard operating procedures and how that helps with training and
Mhm.
people all executing the same task in the same order. I'd never considered that, hey, as part of your training, you should have, an IT or rather maybe a data hygiene or whatever you want to call it, but some
yeah,
restrictions and some guidelines about you can save these things to your computer. You cannot save these things to your computer. And I don't think many agencies are thinking about that way. I know I wasn't, so I appreciate that. That's a great insight.
absolutely.
We're almost out of time, but I did have one quick question, and this isn't meant to be poking fun at you, but
Uh-huh.
so you've been in the business since 1991.
Correct.
I was in second grade. So what was IT like in 1991? What were insurance agencies like in 1991, and how were you helping them manage technology back then?
Sure. So I'm the old guy here, so I have to go back and answer that. I think back then, insurance agencies maybe had computers, but they didn't have a network. They had computers sitting on desk and not connected to each other. And frankly, when I started, that was a goal. Our company name used to be Computer Networking Services, and we come in and then network the computers together. And everybody else I'd call them like box pushers because they were selling a PC that they'd sit on a desk, but it wasn't connected. So people, yeah, they had a computer on the desk. They might have a comparator rating software that they ran, and they might get floppy disk in periodically with updates to the rating system.
Okay.
I did see some agencies with early systems, early like the Mint system. I don't know if that rings a bell for any of the old timers out there. And back, and I want to say Agena, the name Agena, that to me doesn't seem that old, but that's a past company now.
And it
Uh,
was a TAM, not WinTAM, because Windows wasn't a thing or barely
yeah,
was.
we basically helped agencies or what they were like back then where yeah they had agencies needed technology even back then, but of course it was much simpler technology, and probably the big questions were how much RAM should I get in my computer and why do I need a backup? I don't need a backup. What do I need that for? And I've
Interesting.
been through the whole scenario. Backups, why do we need a virus scanner? Why do we need to hook to the internet? I've seen that question a few times in the past, but it's certainly changed dramatically over the last 34 years.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's super cool. I remember we got our first computer probably in 93 or 94. And then I was in high school in the late 90s and we had web page design. So I learned a little
Uh,
HTML
Yeah,
back in the day. But the idea of I've never worked in an insurance agency that did not have computers that were connected to the internet and networked together and all those things. Of course, that was something that was required for a long time.
I guess you're making me think back here, it takes a little bit for the rust to get knocked off. Some agencies had little mini computers, which were mini mainframes, and they were the size of refrigerators essentially. And they sat in a back room and they were green screens. We did have a number of agencies who had those systems back then.
That's so wild. That's so wild.
I think Bryant took one home and made a bar out of it or was planning on it
yeah,
anyway.
there you go. Yeah, yeah.
Nice little kegerator. Okay, well, that's awesome. Gentlemen, I really appreciate your time, appreciate your wisdom and your knowledge. I learned a bunch, took a bunch of notes. I hope anybody that listens and watches does the same. If someone is interested after listening to this, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Of course, our website is smartservices.com, but they can just pick up a phone and call us direct. We answer our phones. And they can find it at our website, our phone number, or send an email to either of us. Mine is jerry.fetty@smartservices.com.
Awesome. Very cool. We will make sure that is included when we post this, of course. And thank you both for your time. And thank you also for your partnership. It means a lot to us that you trust us to help get the word out. And we want to make sure that we do that. I'm sure we'll see you on the road at
Sure.
at a future event or three or four. And by the way, Jerry, I thought you
Mhm.
did a great job emceeing the Michigan Great Lakes Automation Day a few weeks ago.
Thank you. Thank you, Casey. Wasn't too sure because they're usually very scripted events. I followed the script, but not completely. So I was worried they might be freaking out about that.
If they were, I didn't see it, but to heard other people say they thought you did a great job too. So I'm pretty sure you knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I used to do speaking stuff for Steve at his high tech event
Okay.
in Vail years and years ago.
Awesome. Very
Yeah,
cool.
and I've been known I was there in a suit and my Tigers hat one time doing a presentation.
Hey, all
Yeah,
right. There you go. A little Magnum PI look. I get it. All right. I love it.
yeah,
Okay. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks so much,
And
Casey.
go Lions.
Go
cool.
Lions.
Thank you. Go
Thanks,
Lions.
Casey.
All right. Thanks, guys.